A national summit on artificial intelligence and culture wraps up today in Banff. The three-day event brought together artists, technology leaders, policymakers, and researchers from across the country to explore how AI is changing Canada's cultural and creative industries and how we're keeping up. Avery Swartz is co-lead of AI Skills Lab Canada. She's one of the summit's attendees, and she is joining us from Banff this morning. Good to have you here. Hi, Avery.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
As the summit is coming to a close, what are some of the biggest themes and concerns that have come out of these 3 days of talks?
I mean, it's very interesting to have a summit that brings together two industries that don't often talk to each other. We're talking about technology and artificial intelligence, and then also the cultural industry. So it's very interesting to put those two together because we are at a very important moment in Canada when both of those industries, both artificial intelligence and, of course, arts, heritage, and culture, are defining what it means to be Canadian. And to also have the ministers, the culture minister and the AI minister here as well. It's really an event that's trying to encourage active engagement and collaboration between the two.
We've had conversations and segments on this show about how AI is changing the world of arts and artists. So tell us more about artificial intelligence in Canada's arts sector and how are we keeping up?
Yeah, so I mean, artificial intelligence brings a lot of opportunity for the arts. I mean, right there off the top, there was a little video from a very interesting Quebec organization called Les Sept Droits de la Main. They are circus artists that are using generative artificial intelligence in their performances. So it's really cool what AI can do with the arts. But also, I mean, let's be honest, AI poses an existential threat to arts and culture workers. We are talking about issues of copyright. We're talking about issues of job displacement, data manipulation, data misinformation. There's a lot there to unpack. And there are many people here at the summit yesterday and today. We are speaking very openly about these threats because, of course, in the presence of ministers, they are talking about potential legislation, potential regulation with a national AI strategy on the horizon, and also updates to national privacy law.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that the ministers are there. So policy obviously being involved or examined. But so far, Canada has been a global leader in AI research. In fact, the so-called grandfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, is a British Canadian. So what intellectual property protections are being discussed as these policy conversations are happening?
So it is being discussed. There are no major announcements.
Right.
And I'm not expecting to see a major announcement later today saying, a particular policy is being enacted. I think more what's happening is a lot of listening. To put it quite frankly, there are a lot of people here that are quite upset, that are quite concerned about these issues, especially, like you said, around intellectual property and copyright. All of the major tech platforms that are building artificial intelligence solutions. We're talking about things like OpenAI, Google Gemini, even Cohere, which is a Canadian company. They were all built using their large language models. Their large language models were trained on copyright protected material. So that is a big issue it's a bit of an elephant in the room, but we are addressing it as best you can. That it is something that has happened and it's something that is being grappled with now. The arts organizations and the cultural organizations that I speak with, they're really concerned with what's known as the 3 C's. So that is control, credit, and compensation for their intellectual property and their copyright protected work that has been absorbed into these AI tools.
I'm writing those down. Control, credit, and compensation. I always pay attention, Avery, when you tell me about an area that stands out to you because this is your field of expertise. And on that, you've spent days talking about AI and listening around AI technology and the arts. So where do you think Canada's cultural sector is headed?
I am glad to see that, especially when we look at where Canada is on the world stage of that relationship between culture and artificial intelligence. I do think that we have a government right now that is taking this conversation very seriously. They are looking at measures to legislate. They are looking at measures to take action. I mean, heritage and culture and arts are essential to this moment. We are having this real moment of, what is Canada? What defines Canadian heritage, Canadian values, Canadian sovereignty? And even just, night before last, Canada walked out of the Academy Awards with 4 trophies, including Best Animated Short for a project that went through the National Film Board. So, these are the things that define what it is to be Canadian. And it's very important that that is not lost in the AI revolution.
Well, especially as we are the inputters of AI. If we can define that and have that built into the base and the foundation, that sort of sets our course going forward, which seems to be changing very quickly. Always great to have your insight on these things. Avery Swartz, co-lead of AI Skills Lab Canada. Thanks for joining us from Banff.
Thank you.